What do you admire most about me?
Nothing. I'm kidding. I'd say probably your strength and determination to get shit done. I think that's probably been like the last few years, just with rowing and your own struggles and everything. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I admire about you.
No. I was going to
You're not that cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. What is your favourite thing about being my sister?
Well, I would like, this is kind of my most and least favourite, but getting referred to as, oh, you're Riley Dudley's little sister, which is a good thing, because it's like, obviously you're well known for being a good person, because it's like always like, oh, I love her, but it's also like, yes, man. Yeah,
like, I'm Ella Dudley, I'm not Riley Dudley's little sister.
Like, yes. What is something that you would tell your younger self?
Probably, well, there's probably like two parts to it. More so about like study and stuff, like to kind of like believe in yourself, like you actually are smart enough to do what you want to do, and like not compare yourself to others and put yourself down for that. I eventually did work that out, but like if I wish I'd told like my younger self to kind of keep pushing through that, and to kind of like not care about what other people think of you, because I think that played a big role in me not connecting with my identity earlier, because I cared about what other people thought about me. Yeah, I'd say that's probably what I'd tell my younger self. How do you feel our bond has developed through the years? I used to hate you. I never hated you.
Nah. I remember we would have little bitch fights now and then, but
I punch you.
I feel like I remember like ripping your hair at some point like that. Besides the point,
I'd probably like push you pretty hard.
No, well, I think we both agreed, like when, like you said, like different stages with the pretty big age gap, like when I matured a little bit, and that's when I don't even remember it happening. We were just kind of like, oh, we like each other now.
Yeah, well, it was kind of like, because that 3 years is quite a lot. Yeah. When you're at like primary school and I'm at high school.
I think like, was really it like different. When I got to intermediate, and then
intermediate like, started like getting better. Yeah. But then when you like came to high school and we were at that same stage in life. Yeah. And you kind of like started to understand what I was going through, and then like I could understand what you were going through. And I think ever since then, like since you were in year 9. Yeah, progressively.
It's kind of like, oh, I can actually tell my sister stuff now and her not be a bit. Okay. Oh. When did you feel most proud of me?
Oh, I don't think there's. I feel like I'm most proud of you all the time. Get emotional.
Because I'm just so good.
No, I like. There's moments where I'd say like, I feel really, really proud of you, but there's like. Not that really feeling stays all the time. I think.
Not really any
stand out. Yeah. But like, I'd say. Obviously, like when you were going through that stuff with rowing and like you fighting your way back into that crew, like that was really awesome to see. I definitely felt it. Every time I see you get out in a boat, that was always a moment I felt really proud of. Yeah. So many moments though. Any rowing moment especially. Yeah. Just seeing you really push through all of that, and then coming to uni has been a really proud moment. Like kind of see you like overcome your like own mental struggles. I feel proud of you all the time. There's never a moment of I feel most proud of you. Like, yeah. Yeah. How has our relationship changed your perspective of well-being?
Like, I think definitely seeing, like, how people ask me, like, oh, have you and your sister always been close? Or, like, you and your family seem really close, kind of thing. It's, like, very different to other people's relationships with their family, which I think I've really found helps with the overall well-being, because, like, you know, you've always got a support system.
Yeah.
Whereas like, a lot of people, like my friends especially, don't really have that. So that's, like, one thing they admired about me was having good relationships with my family. And I was like, didn't see anything different about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose we're very privileged in that sense. So, like, I have the same conversations with my family, my friends. Sorry.
Yeah, and
like
how we're both close with mum. Like, a lot of people.
But even like dad too. Like, because we're obviously an all-girl family. So to have like such a good relationship with dad.
Yeah.
And I think just the good relationship they have fosters like a really good home environment, and then that fosters like our relationship to grow.
And it's kind of like, made me realise how lucky we are. Like, you know, a lot of friends' parents weren't together anymore or something like that, and it's like, that's kind of like a normal thing nowadays, so quite lucky.
And I suppose in terms of well-being, it's probably helped quite a lot.
What do you want most for me in life?
Oh god, get me emotional. I actually am emotional.
Stop, because you'll get
for you to be happy. I think that's the main thing. Like, I don't want you to... Oh, wait till I... Like, I don't ever want you to be unhappy on what you're doing. And you know I'll tell you that too. I'll tell you to sort it out.
You would.
Yeah, I think that's my main thing for you. I obviously want you to be successful in everything you do, but I think happiness comes
And I
first.
think
and all
you
of
can
that
be successful
without being happy. Yeah. And I think you are happy. Well, I hope you are.
Yeah. No, I am, definitely.
Yeah.
I was waiting for this. I saw the tissues. I was like, yeah, gonna be needing
Took us
one.
9 minutes.
Yeah.
What is a conversation you often avoid?
Like, I first, like, when I was going through all that anxiety stuff, still do, but, like, you kind of just don't make it, like, uncomfortable to talk about, like, because, you know, there's a big thing nowadays, a lot of people go through it.
Yeah.
And just, I made it important for myself not to make it, like, just me completely. So, like, tried to make it, like, comfortable enough to talk about with other people and everything. So,
would you say it's something you did avoid early on, though?
yeah,
Yeah.
like, you know, going and getting help. It was like, oh, I don't want anyone to know. But then, you know, when I told people, and then they're like, oh, like, yeah, I did too, kind of thing. So it's like, when you talk about it, you realise that a lot of people go through it too. So this is the only thing I really avoid talking about, though. Like, that kind of taught me not to
avoid talking about things.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Yeah. What has shaped your connection to your Māori identity, and have you had any struggles?
Well, I think, like, it's been, like, hard growing up because, like, we weren't, like, immersed in it growing up. So, like, it was really hard to kind of push yourself to, like, step into that space. When you kind of, like, were going, I'd say kind of like going in blind. And then, like, taking that first step, obviously, like, I kind of started at the beginning of high school by doing Te Reo classes, and then had struggles with that because I'm, like, I'm a pale Māori, so like that was like a huge struggle there, and just didn't feel like I was enough to be putting myself in that space, so like pushed that aside. And then it wasn't till end of year 13 when like I went to that conference, the Māori Health conference, and kind of like was exposed to more of the culture then, like because obviously we've grown up like going to the marae and stuff, but it's kind of like, let's like go to the marae, like it wasn't really anything.
To be honest, we only really went for funerals.
Yeah, we didn't really go
majority,
you know, like
of the
I didn't
time.
really know much of the tikanga and everything, so it wasn't until I went to that conference and I was like seeing more about it, and I was like, this is really cool. And then obviously I was exposed to like the huge need for there to be a change for Māori health, and then that was when I was kind of like, that's it, like that's what I want to do, like when I become a doctor. And then obviously I came to uni and then like failed health sci papers, and then because of that I was like taking other papers in second semester, so I took Māori 102, and that was like probably the biggest trigger for me to like realise like, wow, like this is really cool, like this is my culture, like I need to do more with this, like I shouldn't step away from it, like or hide away, like I should step into it and really like connect with that. And then the Māori health degree came out, so I was like, okay, cool, like this is definitely this is me, like and then yeah, from there it was like just like continuing to like do papers at uni and amongst everything, because obviously like I did my Māori health papers, but then I did ones outside of that, so like tikanga papers, and then I did like a whakapapa and marae paper, and that's where like probably hugely connected with it, because like obviously researched the whakapapa of our marae and like seeing where we came from and like learning more there, and like uni has been like such a good space to like connect with it, because like it made me realise that I'm not alone in being like a pale Māori, you know, like there's so many people that are going through the same struggle with like pushing themselves into that, but I'd say that's probably one of my biggest struggles was like
the initial
like getting like not coming to terms with it, but like getting used to that, and like you don't have to look Māori to be Māori, like if you've got the whakapapa then that's all you need. But I'd say uni has been the biggest part in shaping my identity in that space. Still working on it.